Kirk.
This is not the
Look at, have you got cucumber in yours?
Yeah, bro, I don't fuck around. When we do gin, we do it properly, pal.
Why do you think there's
I
no
don't know.
aloe vera in?
Yeah. When Megan takes down the decorations, we chop it up, we put it in gin and cack and food and shit. But it's good. Cheers, fellas. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to episode 12.
But what is that basil in Kirk's? I want to find out what's going on in it. Mint. What's that?
Mint, yeah.
Mint.
Sister.
Away. Tell me, you need to fucking get with the fucking times, pal.
For your kojana and your coriander and your
Yeah.
But I'm not drinking gin.
There you go.
Oh, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking rum.
Water.
Rum.
Rum.
Rum and
I'm
water.
sure maybe like
Actually, yeah. Rum and water. I'm working on my fast break.
Ah,
rum and
that's red
water.
wine. That red wine is the first.
Sounds like you're back in high school.
Rum and look, no, look here. It's not red wine.
Oh wait.
No.
What? Oh, okay. True. Red on make you.
Then we're gonna fight
clank
tonight.
the next day. So.
Oh, yeah. Let me put this off.
All right, Timmy. I would like you to start us off Start us off.
Leave me off. Just leave me off.
Yeah. I'd like you to start us off, pal, because everything that I want to talk about, you pretty much summarized in like 7 messages.
Just cut and paste
Tim
this convo,
Maltino.
then we can be done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What the fuck did I say?
Kirk. Yeah. Kirk, you want to hear something interesting, man?
Tell me.
We are recording episode 12 today. I only received episode 11 today.
There was no clouds a lot. Few 4 or 5
Now
days.
it's like
clouds,
TV, man.
yeah.
Not like See on the Line. They record well in advance. That's what we're doing now. Yeah. We must talk now as if the Mavs are going to win 5 in a row. And this is what we're talking about now.
If you know, you know.
All right. Bullshit jokes aside. To me, I love how you broke down everything. But everything that you said is very personal related. So you have a reason for why you said what you said. So give everybody an idea as to where your head is at in terms of what the NBA is about these days. If you haven't watched basketball for the last month or so, a lot of shit has happened. But maybe to the layman who, because of social media, is getting in touch with the NBA, he's hearing things about new teams. Give us a quick synopsis, pal, about where the NBA is at. What teams are doing great? What teams are playing shit? What teams look like they could be playing well? Give us a quick synopsis. Maybe Kirk, whatever Tim misses out, see if you can add value over here, pal. We're now talking to people who don't regularly watch the NBA like we are, right? Who only know the big stars. Tell us what's happening, bro.
Cool. Maybe just to make reference to those messages I sent earlier, right? I'm actually gonna take a little bit of a step back from your question and say when and something South Africans are not used to, right? South Africans are not used to really long seasons, right?
Yeah.
And narratives, people are fickle. And people across the world are fickle, right? So it's very easy for us to put a storyline together, get a narrative going, right? And then we get behind that, right? And then that narrative becomes the truth. And you know what an 82-game season does, right? It makes fun of all your truths, right? Because the truth's gonna be fine for 2 or 3 games, right? Or even 20 games, but you're gonna hit that one roadblock. And I found that the games last night, right? Had some really interesting results, especially off the back of our last conversation, right? So the last conversation, right? I put my head in the chopping block, right? And I made fun of Portland, right? I said they were stunk. Dame Lillard, and everybody will understand Dame Lillard, right? He's out, right? CJ McCollum, he was out, right? They're two best players, right? They had nothing. And then what happens? Then Anthony Simons, a rookie, well, not a rookie, but a young up and coming star, suddenly comes of age. CJ McCollum comes back. Nurkic turns into a Jokic, right? And all of a sudden, they started slapping teams around. After I said that they were horrible, right? Super League-esque, right? We went on about the Grizz. We said the Grizz are amazing. They're the most exciting team. They're so well balanced. They play with joy and happiness. And for the second game in a row, the Mavs clapped it. What? That's for playing. Go back home. You're not a contender yet. Right? I went out and Kirk was like, listen, I think Tatum should be in that All-NBA second team. Right? And I said, no chance. Not a winning player. Doesn't take his team to victory. Then he drags his team, right, all over the other team. Right? He just shows out. He takes it out. And then he claps everybody. Right? Just dominates them single-handedly. Right? We said Harden is quiet. Yeah, we said doesn't matter if Kevin Durant goes out, right? Harden is deserving of an all-NBA notion, right? And he can take teams to the promised land. He's just adjusted his game down, right? doesn't Harden and the Nets and Kyrie get a snort clap last night, right? It's just these narratives will laugh you will laugh at you whenever they want. We did get some things right, and maybe it's also useful to talk to that. And as much as I got Tatum wrong, Kirk definitely got Tatum right, which is cool. We did say the Mavs could beat anybody, right? And actually, that's kind of nice because it's nice to have mid-tier teams. And I think Kirk wants to talk about, right, conferences and whether they are top heavy or middle heavy and what makes them hard or stronger, right? I think the Mavs being mid-table West. In fact, everybody in the mid-table West, right, has a puncher's chance of beating almost anybody in the league, except maybe Phoenix, because Phoenix are red hot, and they don't look like they're losing. I do want to comment on one thing, and this is the state of the NBA, and something Kirk said last week. Kirk said he liked watching teams in the last 3 minutes that look like they know what they were going to do, right? An interesting stat over the last week, right? Apparently, Phoenix going into games with the last 5 minutes, right, where the score is less than 5 points difference, right? They've won 18 and lost 3, right? That is a team that knows exactly what they're doing at the end of every game. Wow. It is madness. But the second I heard it, I was like, that's what Kirk was talking about, right there. Another thing that we got right, again, something that Kirk said, Golden State can win any game and they can also lose any game. And last night they didn't lose a game, but against the Jazz, they may as well have looked like they wanted to do it. It was a rough end of that game, right? That was a soccer match for a basketball game at the end, right? And I suppose what else did we get right? You said the Hornets were quiet, right? They're very exciting. The highlights team. Apparently not. And the record look like it's moving that way. We said the Wolves were
exciting though.
Yeah, they're exciting. Yeah. It's more exciting when you win, but they're still exciting. We said the Wolves are the best of a bad bunch, and again, they also look like the team that can beat anybody on their night and lose anybody on the night. And then maybe the last thing is that Embiid and Jokic, those big men are unbelievable. They are dragging their teams through some really, really, really rough places, and that's cool to see. That's fantastic to see. We got those things right. And so maybe my takeout in the NBA is 82 games, right? There are lots of quality players everywhere. Just because you hear a narrative and say somebody's quiet doesn't mean that they can win every game. And every team is good enough to slap another team out on a given night.
All right. Thanks, fellas. It's been good. All right. Kirk, you must have a lot to add to that, because I know you also for people who don't know.
Call for me to say. You said everything.
You said
everything.
Yeah. I already gave him credit for everything he got
So
right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
covered all my. He's like fucking Eminem in
Yeah.
6 Mile with fucking.
Be rabbit. So Kirk, tell us about Toronto. Tell us about Toronto.
How about
The
Miami?
one
I didn't touch on Miami.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one interesting thing about Toronto was that in our bet, the Suns sent their strongest team across the border and they moved them, blowing Tim's theory out the fucking wood.
Listen, yeah, even Toronto was
Yeah.
surprised about that. Toronto was like, why are you sending these guys here? Right?
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I've got a theory on that. Right? I bet you what the Phoenix Suns did is they tested their players before they left. They're like, we testing you. And we're going to do it in-house. We're not going to tell anybody about this shit.
Yeah. Chris Paul, man. Chris Paul as the leader of the Players Association. Cut him off.
So
All right, KD, what do you want to say, bro?
I think this is the time of the year where teams traditionally slow down. It's that 2-3 weeks before the All-Star game. You'll see superstars starting to take nights off mentally. And that's why you see that you're starting to see these random results pop up now. It's that lead into the All-Star weekend where players start checking out because they're going into their break and they get a 2-week or a 2-week break or something like that. So you're going to see a few random results and strange happenings. I'm not going to go through all the things that Timmy touched on, but just some of the things that I wanted to mention. We did say that Golden State was going to sickle when Clay comes back. It wasn't going to be, oh, Clay's back, they're going to go on a 20-game winning streak. We knew that they were going to drop off. They were going to drop some games as they work out the chemistry. And interestingly enough, Wiggins thinks he's the third Splash Brother, and he's launching. I don't know why he's launching so many shots all of a sudden.
I think it's listening.
No, he's going to say, you're going to take Jordan's shots, but you're not going to take my shots.
Yeah. It's like, you take one, make. I take one, make. You take one, he take one. Nah, I'm also going to get into this. Let me just boom. Yeah.
So, although to be fair, he was on a liquor shooting streak. Just before Clay came back, he started making a few and he was knocking them down comfortably. Now he's back to normal again, so he must stop that cuck. Yeah. Yes, Tim.
Well, thank you, Kirk. I'm so glad you noticed. I'm glad you brought up Golden State because I think a low-key thing that we haven't started talking about yet, right, is Curry's game last night where he went 1 for 13, right, isn't necessarily an anomaly for the season, right? And actually, he started off the season for him and they were winning. And we all put him unanimously, right, in our first NBA team. If he continues to play this the same way, right, for the next couple of weeks, and we do another version of that All NBA team, I don't know if Curry's going to make it in that first team again because he's not playing amazingly well without Green, right? They actually aren't fuss as a dominant team. I suppose that's something just for us to keep an eye on. Right, regardless of what's happening with Clay.
But something Tony always spoke to his players about is if you are a 50% shooter and you've missed 50 shots, you know what's going to happen.
Law of averages, sir. Law of averages. I'm a believer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what happens. Somebody, who was it that said something along those lines? I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody in one of the commentators, and they were like, these guys are too good and they practice too hard to not take those shots. So if you are not shooting well, you don't pass up on your shots. You fucking keep shooting until it starts dropping, because like they say, you practice too hard and you are too skillful at it to change your game when things start going wrong. At that level. Yeah, so that is pretty interesting. Just on the Mavs, if we took the record for January, they probably have the best record in the league. I was looking at their January record. I think the Mavs have only lost like 2 games in January.
When Luka came back, I think they're 8-2 or 9-2 or something since Luka came back.
They're on a stupid tear.
Yeah.
Then we just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're 11-2.
There you go.
Since the 1st of January. That's crazy.
And Luka's shooting junk. He's shooting like 17% from 3. 17.
Yes.
Terrible. You can't make a shot.
Wow.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of what I wanted to speak about was Miami. I watched that Miami Lakers game, and I've watched a few quarters of Miami before that in the last month, and we talk about teams that move the ball well and teams that run systems, and Miami swings the ball and they attack in a very aggressive way. Like it's not like Phoenix or Golden State or what's the other team or even the Mavs that are moving the ball pretty well now. Those teams move the ball and they sort of a shoot first. They've sort of got a shoot first offense, but Miami have these random cuts and these aggressive cuts, and they attack the ball. And they attack the hoop with strength and with force, and it's quite to watch. It's interesting to see how different their style is compared to the rest of the teams that share the ball and move the ball quick. And I mean, the pace at which they move the ball is also pretty impressive. I saw when
just
why are you shouting at me?
now I'm saying as you finish.
Hand up. That's rude.
Now, I want you to talk about Jimmy Butler's leadership as well. Now, to be on Miami, you're talking about their style. Transition into Jimmy Butler also, and how clearly you value his leadership style.
Actually, I wanted to talk about Jimmy Butler and NBA players and their big fucking egos, because you must be a bra with nuts the size of kudu ayers to come out and be like, you know what, we're playing LA. LeBron's got the all-time three-peat record in Miami. I'm 1 away from breaking his record. Let me break it against him. And he came out last night, and you could clearly see he was looking for a triple-double. I mean, you could see in the first quarter, he had like 10 assists in the first quarter. He was like, okay, let me get my 10 points though. Okay, now I must go get him my rebound. And he was like, I think it was like at the end of the third quarter, he was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. He was like, fuck you, I'm going to do it against you. I'm going to set this Miami record.
But that's, they thrive on that though. The big stars, they thrive on that. They know. It's like, I'm almost certain one of us would have said it, man. There certain players, when the lights go on, they can do things that others can't. Like, as much as we all want to shoot the final shot and we all want to hit the game-winning buzzer beater, like, there's very few players that can get that right and do it well and want that. You know what I mean? Like, wanting to shine on the biggest stage and then doing it. It's hard, bro. It's hard. That's why BMT is a real thing.
Yeah, for sure. So Diana Taurasi, in one of the interviews, she said this. She was like, I think it was at the start of the playoffs in the first round after they had won their first round matchup. I think it's like they have one game series in the first two rounds, and they go into a 3-game final or something like that. And after the first round, she was like, she loves the playoffs because the playoffs show you which players can and which players can't. She's like,
Yeah.
And I can.
Yeah.
Like, I can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
That's-
It also talks to coaching, right? So that's why coaches only use 9 brasa. Because I can't use all of you. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, you want to add to that, bro?
I wonder about that, right? I mean, you make a good point. Coaches all reduce the roster, right? But I often wonder if rosters get reduced because coaches suddenly don't believe in the players that they've used the whole year, which I don't think, right? Or it's more about specifically when you get up to that stage, right? I suppose it's probably two-part. The optimist in me goes, okay, cool. I'm realistic. Although I've used 12 people throughout the season, I know this is my best 9. My best 9 are conditioned. So it makes sense for me to play these 9 more of the time, right? That's the optimistic, the happy side of me. The cynical side of me goes, yes, if I lose, right? And I played number 10, 11, and 12 more than 15 minutes, I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go down with these brasses that the front office pay the most, right? Because imagine if I went down trying to play these other guys a little bit too much, who the front office never believed in as much, like then I'm toast, right? And there's a little bit of a cynicism in there, right? To what degree are people incentivized to play those players more? To play your 11, 12, 13 more, and they're not. That's, I mean, just I was ask Tibbs in New York. He's like, you know what, right? I'm gonna get fired unless I win, right? So you 3 guys who are my top players, you playing for 46 minutes a game. 46 minutes a game?
Yeah.
Every game. 82 games in the season.
Back to back. The fuck out of here. You
Nothing.
walk it off.
Nothing.
Walk it off.
Taj, come show them. Taj.
Yeah. To add to what you say, Tim, I would like to believe that they use their 9 players because that's who we all believe will get us to the Holy Grail the fastest. So that's why they get paid the big money. So if I relate it to the job market, I know it's a bad example, but like the people who get paid the most genuinely add the most value, right? So if I'm going to try and win it all and try to go all the way, then I'd rather go down sinking with my chips all in, as opposed to faking it and calling your bluff, and then you give me a puck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like your theory. I like it a lot. But I think I'm gonna stick with what you said first, in that whoever the business is going to invest in the most is who we as a business believe is gonna take us the furthest. But I would hate to be the bra that benches the bra that could have give you a quick 15 points in the third quarter off the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you
think
can't
it-
call
I think
it.
it's-
You can't
yeah,
call
you
it.
can't. No.
Precious
I think it's also a rhythm. I think it's also a rhythm thing because, I mean, obviously with
Yeah.
more minutes, you play better. So to give more minutes to less players helps them get into a better rhythm. But we always joke in the 2019 in the finals, Vikings played Alumni, and it was game 3. And that season we jammed a lot of games in. So I think the finals were like the Friday night and then the Sunday again. And Vikings had a 8-man rotation in that game. Going into game 3, there were only 8 players, and midway through the second, one or two of the Owens weren't playing so lekker. So Lau was like, my bro, I know I'm playing a whole game today. and he and he just started throwing cackets at him. And he had his best shooting game in forever. I think he's like 8 threes in a game or something like that. And he was like, because I know I'm not coming out, so I can shoot with confidence. And he was like, bah, bah.
Yeah.
That's heavy when your biggest pressure isn't the other team.
Yeah. your own team. Yeah.
That's supposed to generate healthy pressure, but fuck, it can also kill you.
True story.
Yeah.
What
But you
else?
must also like believe that you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You must believe that I can take all these shots in a game 3 of the finals, and I will land 50% of them, 60% of them, or whatever. Even that, like, just think about it, Oaks. Even, I mean, all of us have played. Can you imagine taking 14 shots in a game and only shooting 1 in? You've missed 13. And to still believe, nah, fuck, I'm gonna bomb this next one. that for me is a phenomenal way of thinking. Like,
yeah,
how, like, I get what Kirk said, in that, a good shooter must shoot and you find your rhythm. And I get the law of averages, but you're still a human being, man. You still like, for 1 out of 14. And you still have the confidence with 2 minutes left to say, give me the ball, man. Give me the ball.
Yeah.
Look,
that's a different mindset, man.
Look, I don't know if it's always a give me the ball, right? Because if you start missing a lot, people start leaving you open. So then you open more often at the time, right? I have never been a big volume shooter, right? But I can't tell you that I would have known how many shots I've taken. So if I'm open, I'm open, right? I trust my coach that at some stage my coach is going to pull me. This motherfucker's going up, I'm open.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's eventually that bad, coach is going to come, it's your time. It's your time. Sit down, man.
Yeah.
Nah, I knew exactly how many shots I was taking.
I'm open.
I knew. Yeah, I must make this one. I must make my next 3. Otherwise, my stats are going to look cack.
Yeah. But now, Kirk, listen to what you said now, right? So I would think the same. So I missed my first 2. Shit, I got to make my next one. Shit, I missed 4. Damn. You know what I mean? Like, shit, I missed 6. You know what I mean? And then you still want to shoot.
That's never happened to me.
because your coach is
Okay. Cheers.
That's when you get an Allen Iverson butt injury, my friend. You know that Allen Iverson, the year he played for the Grizzlies, right? And he didn't play so much. And after the game, right, one of the reporters went in there and asked him, "Hey man, are you injured?" And he's like, "Yeah, my butt hurts from sitting on the bench." you never missed 6 in a row because the bench was attacking you before.
Yeah. So
listen,
two more things. Wait, I want to say 2 more things. About the Grizz, and that's also it's the Grizz are a young team, and I guess these dips and these peaks and troughs are gonna happen in the season. When you play with such a young unit, and I guess they're going through a slump. What is the record? Does anybody know?
Oh, look, in fairness, even as a Mavs supporter, the Grizz had like 7 or 8 O's out. Bain was out.
Oh shit! Okay.
What's their big that started coming to life? Again the season. Hey. Clark was out. Tyus Jones was out. Dylan Brooks was out. right? Like, so they had Kyle Anderson was out, and although he's not amazing, all of those guys play very specific roles. And actually, all of those guys have size to at least make Luca's life a little bit more difficult, right? So, look, the Mavs actually play well against the Grizz in any event, right? But the Grizz were heavily depleted.
So we're saying that the Mavs have had a fantastic year. They only have 2 losses. The Grizz only have 3 losses.
Yeah. Yeah, but remember, for a while, those were the 2 hottest teams in the NBA, right? So the Mavs went on that 8-game winning streak, and I was like, yo, but the Grizz went on like a 12-game winning streak or something crazy.
It's just that they've dropped 3 games in quick succession of late. So
two of them
I guess maybe that's right. Yeah. That's the one thing. The other thing I was watching Seth Curry in his All the Smoke interview, and it was pretty good. It's decent. There was something about shooting mentality and confidence, because they asked him about how is it, because you're the cuck, bruh. Basically, you're the cuck one. Your Topi was a Lani, your Bruchi's a Lani, and you went undrafted, and now you must hustle and find your way. And he was like, I mean, I believe myself. I got a 16. I believe in myself. I know I can drip, so I drip. And that basically sums up the mentality of fucking every NBA player. You need to believe, you have that stupid belief that I can do it. And interestingly enough, Seth is second all time in 3-point percentage. Yeah, he's second behind Steve Kerr. That's pretty fucking legit. Yeah, that's pretty legit.
I loved him on the Mavs. When they got rid of him for Josh Richardson, I understood it, but that turned out poorly for everybody.
Yeah.
Yo, gents,
but
one topic we haven't
taking, there's some serious what's the word? Where you cake for your family? What's the term now? Nepotism. There's some serious nepotism in Doc's veins, right? First he's lighting, now he's lighting low.
You've got to surround yourself with people who you trust.
Yeah.
Or make sure that the people you are paying are going to take care of you.
As long as you can drift.
I guess he has to make sure his daughter's husband can provide for us.
Exactly.
I'm going to give you a max.
I don't want to pay for your wedding. Have your own damn wedding. I know how much you earn.
One way of saying it. Your father-in-law can actually decide what type of wedding you're going to have. Legit. But listen, while we're on the 76ers, we actually haven't spoken a lot about the 76ers. Like really. I'm just looking at the Eastern Conference. They are 6th. They've won 7 out of the last 10. They're 27-19. At home, they are 50-50. On the road, they are 17-9. They're a better road team than they are a away team.
That Philly crowd is tough, man.
Yeah.
That Philly crowd is tough.
But how can you win 10, lose 10 at home, win 17, lose 9 on the road? That's interesting.
They know they're gonna get the Nets in the playoffs, so they're practicing to win all their games in Brooklyn.
That's interesting.
It also might just be a strange piece of who they get in the matchups. They're an odd-looking team, because although they have this monster in the middle, they are like, it's Embiid and a bunch of munchkins. Yeah. They're small. Maxi's small, Curry's small, Tobias is big, but he plays small, right? Milton small, like they small, right? And when you get a team with big wings, like what the fuck are they gonna do with Jimmy Butler or LeBron or Luka? Like there's fuck all they can do with them. And if you get them at home, sorry, like that's a damn shame. Then let's just hope that Joel scores more than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, like shame. Debra needs some help, and much like Jokic needs some help. Now they can shoot, and that's cool. But if their shots aren't falling, they're in the cuck, right? And the funny thing is, they need a Ben Simmons type player.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So funnily enough, we said last week that Jokic plays point guard effectively. Have you seen Ben Simmons? I mean, not Ben Simmons. Have you seen Joel play? That bra is pure point guard. He someone gets the inbound under his rim and he brings the ball up. That bra's skill set is stupid.
Put it through his legs a couple of times. A little bit of a shake. Step back.
But I don't understand why he does that funny jump shot of his where he jumps down basically. There's no elevation on that jump shot. He just jumps sideways.
Because he goes, if I'm higher than the hoop, I don't need to elevate.
Yeah. It's actually the jump is just to get parallel with the hoop. They can shoot straight.
I don't need elevation. I just need a little separation. That's it.
I mean, I watched that game where he dropped 50 against the Magic, and he scored 20 of their 22 points in the first quarter. I think they finished the quarter on 24 points or something. He scored 2 shy of all their points, and they were leading the Magic by like 4 points. He outscored the Magic on It's literally like watching Sia in under 14 play against rookies.
Unstoppable. So what would you guys, let's start with Tim. What would you now do if you are now hearing you say that they need a Ben Simmons type player? What do you do in that scenario? Do we get rid of Ben? Just to get rid of Ben? Or do we try and convince him? Because they are actually a really good, potentially Eastern Conference winning team with him, right? Do you just give it up because the bra has some emotional problems and has issues with the club? Or do you try and really work it out and try and remind him, motherfucker, we were 1 shot away from winning the Eastern Conference against Kawhi. 1 shot. What do you do?
So I mean, look, that was 2 years in a row, right? 1 shot away with Kawhi, and then the year afterwards, we gave up the dunk and Thibault missed the free throw, right?
Yeah.
And he became the scapegoat, right? So this is an emotional thing rather than anything else. The reality is, it sounds as though they're trying to potentially, or that they've tried to say all the right things to potentially get Ben back. But by this stage, I personally believe that having a player that's willing to do what they've done now, whether they're right or wrong, it's so far gone, right? I don't know if it makes sense for you to take the risk for him to come back in any event. Yeah, and just on your note, actually, maybe to make my point worse, not better. Last year, do you remember where they finished in the Eastern Conference after the regular season? Number one. They were the number 1 seed at the end of last season, right? In the East. So it was proper. But the reality is that sometimes like a marriage, sometimes you do get to this irreconcilable differences, right? Where it's just not going to work. And then if you look at your team and you're going, man, right? Even if it does work for 6 months, like, is this all going to fall apart again? And Katie mentioned the egos. Like, this is an ego thing now, right? This isn't anything else other than an ego thing. And at some stage, maybe you should cut it and go, well, okay, cool. What pieces can I get that fits best? Go and get those pieces. They don't. Unlike what Maury says, I'm not convinced that they need to be the superstars. You've got such a superstar already. If you fit them with everything that they need around them, right? So instead of doing a Lakers model, maybe go and do a Bucks model, where you have one just transcendent player, and then you get everybody around him, right, that they can make better, that they can get them in that space, etc., etc., etc. Curry wouldn't be this good if it wasn't for Embiid in this role, and it wasn't for Doncic in the previous role, because they just create space, right? Everybody that Curry plays for, right, wouldn't be as good just because of the fact that he's a gravitational pull by himself, which gives everybody else more space. And so you can take players, you can do a little bit of a money ball. You can take players where they don't look amazing because they're not playing with superstars, and you put them next to Joel Embiid, you put them next to Curry, you put them next to Jokic, and they will just by their definition be better. If maybe Tobias Harris.
I was
Kirk, you wanna
at
add?
one stage, Tobias was doing pretty damn well in that rotation. Just before Jimmy Buckets came.
So interestingly you say that. I believe that Tobias Harris, Aaron Gordon, right, they're the similar types of players. They are fantastic players if you don't need them to be your number one or number two. Right? So you had Ben Simmons around. Tobias, good. Right? He's cool. But all of a sudden you expect him to be number two, and maybe you're just asking him to do too much. Yeah. Right. And then you just got it wrong for that's maybe not fair on him, because he actually doesn't seem to be a big ego guy.
No. You're right.
He doesn't give off big ego vibes. Well, I'm sure he does, but he doesn't give off.
But there's a slope, right? There's a slope. He's not Jeremy Grant. He's not Jeremy.
No.
Right? You just see that prior in the week, right? Because this upsets me, right? So Jeremy Grant, he turns down the Nuggets offer, right? When he's playing quiet the Nuggets, right? And remember, the Nuggets are now on the precipice of doing something amazing, right? He turns down the offer. He basically takes an offer for marginal amount more, right? Marginal, but basically it's the same. And he takes himself to Detroit because he wants to do more, right? So now he's doing more and losing a lot, right? And so obviously now they come to the stage, they've got Kate Cunningham, they've got a couple of young bucks, they've got Sadiq Bey, right? And all the news is, well, they've got these young bucks. These guys are on a different timeline to Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant could be useful to actual contenders, right? And so maybe a couple of contenders want to fish around, right? In that pool. Doesn't Grant's agent go out and say, hey, yo, man, you can get this guy, but he only wants to be either the number one or number two option on a team. That's it. Otherwise, don't trade for him, right? So in other words, he's completely fine with losing so long as he gets the ball. What the actual fuck? I don't get that. Like, if I was a Detroit fan, I'd be even more upset. When you're number one, it's fine with losing, so long as he remains number one. Sorry, my rant's over. Full stop.
But like I said the last time, these are humans, and they all have different wants and needs. They all have different things that they strive for in life. He wants a big check. Like, I believe that Melo was like that. Melo was quite happy to not go to a contender. If he was the bra, he could put up his 30, he could score his 30 a game, and if they made the playoffs, quite. If not, I guess we'll try again next year.
Each to their own, so long as they own isn't so long as they own isn't in the team.
The Mavs.
Yes. like I would love for Jimmy Butler, right, or Kyle Lowry just to get to the Mavs, right? Because although those guys have egos, those egos are about winning. Jimmy Butler really does not care about how much he scores. Like, if you watch his games, he doesn't give a shit. He only cares how much he scores if his team is losing. Then he's gonna go and win.
Though. He's gone through a funny maturation, because where was he before Chicago?
No, Chicago's where he started.
He started Chicago.
Then he went to the Wolves.
And then he went to Wolves, and then he went to Philly, and then he ended up at Miami. Because at Bulls he was the bra, and that's why they call him Jimmy Bucket, because he fucking just put up shots. And same when he went to T-Wolves, came in there and he caused cuck in that team. There was a
But remember,
wasn't a very good fit.
remember the cut that he caused that he took the blame for. He caused cuck because he said that Wiggins, right, and Cat were losers because they didn't put in the effort. That's that infamous thing. That's that infamous one where he said, "Yo, give me all the bench guys, and I'm gonna beat you guys alone, right? Because you guys don't put in the work." And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'd still rather support that, bro.
But I think something happened when he got to Philly. Something happened and he realized, check here, this vibe is not working out for me. Let me go be a bruh. Then for some obscure reason, it just all fit together for him. I mean, Spo is a great coach. I didn't really rate him early on. I thought he just got lucky with the big 2.5.
Yeah.
But after they left, he showed his value and his ability here. And now they back, and they got Jimmy, and he's a quite fit in that team, and everything there at my everything's rolling. I just wanted to talk about the standings. Interesting thing. So we were talking about dominance and which conference was more dominant than the other. And it's a bit hard to say. I guess the only way you can tell is cross-conference matchups. So how many teams in the West have a winning record against teams in the East, and how many teams in the East have a winning record against teams in the West? Because if you look at it, this is fucking phenomenal. In the East, 1 down to 6. It's only 2.5 games difference between number 1 and number 6. That is crazy. That's so tight up there.
That's hectic.
So I mean, if you look at that, you think, yo, the East is dominant. But maybe we should look at their records. But again, they play a lot of games in the East. So now we need to look at the top 4 teams in the East and then match up against the top 4 teams in the West, or just teams in the West, and see how they do against teams, if they got a winning record, if they got a losing record. And I think that's the way we'll see which or the parity between the two conferences and how they match up. Because if you look at the West, I mean, there is a huge difference between, I mean, there's a 12-game difference between 1 and 6. So,
in fact, there's a 3-game difference between 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's even more than
in comparison to the 1 to 6. and then another 3-game difference from 2 to 3.
Yeah.
That's
hectic. Yeah. So I'm actually going to do I'm do some scratching around and see if I can find some stats where they show Eastern teams matchups against the West and how that stacks up.
But looking at that,
it depends on what question we're trying to answer, though. Right? The question you're going to get an answer to what's the better conference, right? Which might be a different answer to what's the tougher conference to play. Yeah.
So, but so wait. So you see me out. So if the East comes up stronger than the West, then it would be clear that the East is a strong one because their games.
It's tougher and stronger.
It's tougher and stronger, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know? One of my friends. So sometimes we overthink things. Right? So very close friend of mine.
What? No.
Sometimes.
So look here. One of my friends he's got a mad opportunity overseas, right? Like crazy opportunity. And now he's the analytical cat at the best of times. And so he's got a scoring machine and it's weighted and he's trying to figure out whether it's better here or there, and like real points driven. Very, 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 very analytical, right? Trying to account for everything. Yeah. And then one of the other friends said, okay, cool, look here. Take a coin, right? And say SA on the one side, UK on the other side. And then, and he goes, then flip the coin, right? And when it lands, right, and you see which one it is, are you happy or disappointed? Just that, right? Because even they're the wrong thing, you know inside here, right? And so I was like, yo, that's it. Because I was trying to actually give him advice on his fucking rating tool. And I was like, just listen to that.
Right.
Just listen to that person. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe the question around what the tougher conference is. If you got yourself a franchise right now, right? You got an expansion team. Which conference you want to drop them in? Just that, right? Would you place them in the East? Would you place them in the West? Sometimes
Sure. Yeah.
Great question, Timmy. Fuck it.
I don't know.
I
Which team? So I guess you'd go into the. Would you go into the East because you could get 2.5 games away from the top? Would you go into the West where you're gonna? Well, I'm gonna be 12 games away from the top.
So I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna go out, right? Because I've always resonated with the West. I don't know why, right? Even before the my Mavs support, right? But the reality is, I think that if I was gonna put a team in, I think I'd want to drop them in the West, because there are 3 teams that might give me fuck when I play them, but I legitimately, right, have a chance of beating everybody else, right? Whereas in the
That's
East,
only if you as good as those top 2 teams. Because remember, from 3 down, you in that zone of parity where everything is quite jam packed. So.
yeah, good point. So I'm back arguing against myself.
So if I was a gevaarlijke team, I'm going to the West. Because I know there's only one other
Yeah.
gevaarlijke team.
you have home court advantage. You know. I'm
But
looking at the East,
no.
right?
But the East, sorry, Wes. The East only has 5 teams with losing records. The West have 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 teams with losing records, right? And Minnesota's on 500.
Yes, yeah. So from 7 down, they all have losing records.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So although you're right, there's the top couple, and then there's some parity, but actually there's a lot of people who lose more than they win. And look, it's marginal, but I'll drop him in the West.
Yeah.
At least for 82 games, I have a fighting chance. But when I get into the playoffs and I find Phoenix.
That's when you hope for injuries.
Health and safety protocol.
Yeah.
I'm just sending a lot of ladies with COVID to that bus. That shit must be edited out now.
Yeah. The views expressed in this podcast.
Yeah. Oaks, I'm gonna give me another drink.
See, that's why I poured me a moose. You're wearing a jogger tonight.
But I also smack another drink. So I'm going, do I pour myself another rum? Or do I just get the whatever's in the fridge? With the fridge.
Kirk, where do you stand on oh, before I get to that question, is when does Vikings practice, by the way?
For you, Monday and Wednesday.
Okay. Quiet.
You must come, it's lekker. There were 22
Yeah, I need
games
to find
Wednesday. But you don't even have to worry about fitness or focal. you don't run. You do very little physical.
Yeah, but I need to. Shit, bro. I haven't exercised in a
just
long
shooting.
time, so I'm just looking to get
shooting.
fit. Oh,
Just come to a session. You'll see how easy it is. You just do shooting.
what time?
7 to 9.
Why? Liquor time also.
Oh, yeah.
Who's running the sessions?
Coach, I'm going tomorrow.
Why? I must actually see. Well, I'm supposed to see Lyle tomorrow. Lyle's building a new
Yes.
place or something, and I must get my brother-in-law's
Yeah.
there to do his kitchen.
Yeah.
Away. KG Owens, are we one time going to do this live? Record it somewhere at one of our houses,
Oh, yeah.
as opposed to Zoom.
He's
I
like,
think
what
it'll
do
be
you
cool.
mean one? I was like, yes, bro. I delay one recording tune. In skillety one, it's gonna go live. Unedited. No.
I can't trust him anymore. I can't trust him.
This is why you're going to play us with a 9-man rotation.
I think we should have one in the playoffs. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah,
I think we should get together for All-Star Weekend.
like we used to.
That kind
Oh,
of
wait.
thing.
Away.
Some of my favorite All-Star games where I went to Kirk's joint with Gatsby's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Proper.
that was the best.
Yeah.
Megan actually reminded me about that time myself and Matthew looked after your place, Tim. Remember that? In Kensington.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't really remember
Damn.
because I actually wasn't there, right? Because
Where did you guys go to then? Was that
No.
Guernsey? Where did you go to?
I don't know. Honeymoon,
It
maybe?
can't be Guernsey because you lived there.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because Keys was living there when we were in Guernsey. Now she come out. I took your last one. You're gonna greet. She doesn't want to greet you guys.
Who is that? Oh, lost.
Away. Okay. Kirk, talk us through the schedule, pal. What games are we looking forward to over the next couple of weeks, or the next couple of days? And then let's see if we can think or predict
Wait.
who we think will do well.
Okay, before we do that, what do you think about Chicago and the injury woes?
So as a follower of Chicago, it's a completely different team. Completely.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's really, really hard to watch a team that got into such a liquor flow. And it just feels like we are hoping and praying that Rosen can score 40 every night. You know what I mean? And I'm saying we because I regard myself as a little bit of a fan, but you can't expect so much from DeRozan. Like Levine is a top 7 NBA player in scoring. You can't just lose a bra like that and think it's gonna be okay. It doesn't work like that. Lonzo played a huge role in the facilitation of the two of them scoring so much. So with the two of them out.
And defense, he's a monster.
You're massive. So with the two of them out, that's like, it's like Milwaukee losing Middleton and
True.
Drew. And yes, the Bulls can still win. It's hard, bruh. It's too hard. And coupled with the Eastern Conference that's so freaking tight. I guess, thank goodness that they had such a fantastic record before this injury woes, that I think even if they lose the next 10, they'll still make the playoffs and they'll still be okay. Yeah. But in terms of, like, you can't even say this is the same Chicago Bulls. It's not, they just waiting their time to go by until they come back. and hope and pray that they're ready for the playoffs and that they can be back to what they were by playoff time.
Sorry, Timmy, if you want to say something, but the only cuck thing about this situation is it's not like you're losing one player and the rest of your team galvanizes and gets better. You're losing 2 or 3 players and you're getting your back door kicked in, and that's a lot more. That's a lot harder to recover from than if you miss one player and it helps you galvanize and build some team chemistry without that guy. So I think
Sorry.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the full stop. My bad.
Full stop.
Okay, thanks. But I suppose as a club, you don't feel as bad with the loss, right? Because you know,
Yeah.
But you know what? We were talking about how tight the Eastern Conference is, right? They might do well to slip down to 4th, which is almost going to be a certainty, right? Because if they had to go into the playoffs right now, they would face Philly, and I think that's a cuck matchup for them. That's not a cool matchup. Whereas if they went into 4th, then they play against Cleveland, and I think that's a nightmare matchup for Cleveland, right? Because the one's all big and the other one's kind of all small. And I think they'll just deal with Cleveland a lot better.
Look, if they don't get the guys out for the next month, they could drop down to like 9. So close. I mean, they lose 3 games and they're out of the playoffs, basically.
In my mind, right? You don't want to finish outside of 4 in the East.
Yeah.
You play Brooklyn, Miami, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And then depending on how Cleveland do or Philly does or Chicago, like that's junk.
It's tough.
Right?
Yeah.
And actually, if Boston continues to get things together, it's also junk to finish 1.
It's actually fair to say 1 to 8 in the Eastern Conference. You can't just call it. You can't. Not like you can in the West with 1 and 2. From 1 to 8, with the standings as is, Miami, Boston could go to 7 games easily. Brooklyn, Charlotte, I think Charlotte are too young. Chicago, Philly, great matchup. Milwaukee, Cleveland.
That's the just playoff right there. I'm watching all those games.
Yeah.
You mean you're not watching the number 1 and number 8 teams in the West?
The views expressed by Tim is not the views of everyone in this group.
I'm only saying that because you know the number 8 team is.
Who's the number 8 team, Tim?
The Lakers, sir. The Lakers. You're not going to tune in to watch them get pucked in the first round again.
Fortunately, I subscribe to NBA TV. I can watch them all.
How far the might have fallen. Last year, you was your ride or die. Now it's like, Lakers, what the fuck you talking about Lakers for?
Yeah, who's that again? Yeah, I already got the t-shirt. I got my money, it's fine.
I didn't even realize I got a losing record.
Yeah.
Yo.
They're struggling to get to 50.
Do you know, I'm pretty sure a week ago, 2 weeks ago, they were 1 game behind Dallas. I think you even pointed that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've been like struggling hard. Even with LeBron coming out and publicly making an apology like Laker Nation will be better, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's rough. Lakers have it rough. And it doesn't help when you spend all that money and your money doesn't look valuable anymore. It's hard. It's really hard. It's like buying a snook on Easter and getting home and it's pop. Pop. But you paid 400 rand for the snook.
Nah, you thought you bought Yellowtail, but you got home and you opened it and stop snook.
Yeah. But that must be, I mean, if I was a Laker GM, right, that must be hard now to spend so much money and watch it not happen. What do? Do you call it quits and say, listen, we tried and I'm rather gonna try and make another move? Or do you say, Kiki, we believed in this from the beginning, let's follow it through? But you're sitting on a less than 500 record, more than halfway through. When do you call it quits? At the end? In the beginning? In the middle? When do you call it quits? Kirk?
LeBron's not going to call it quits now. I mean, he works so hard to put
I don't
this team
believe that
together.
either. Yeah.
I mean, he's the GM. He's not going to call it quits now.
So yeah. So you let it run its course. You must, right?
The problem is he caked for those Owens. So he wanted Westbrook and he wanted Melo there. So
the thing is, man, like with these big players, with your Russes. By the way, what's the verdict on AD? When does he come back? Do one of you know?
He was meant to be back this weekend.
Okay. So let's assume he comes. Let's assume he comes back.
He's
been upgraded to doubtful. Huh?
That's too soon. He's
gonna hurt himself.
Too much time to hurt himself again. Too soon.
He needs to come back game 7 of the finals, then he might make it through a season.
Yeah.
Would game 7 of the finals play?
Yeah.
Sorry, Wes.
One ring on.
Yeah. So do we unanimously agree that if the Lakers ended 8th, that the Suns are sweeping them 4-0 or 4-1? Is that how we feel? Or do you believe LeBron has LeBron tendencies? Tim?
I don't think they'll sweep them. They could sweep them. If they sweep them, I wouldn't be surprised. Right? But I wouldn't necessarily put money on that. Like LeBron, we've seen him will wins single-handedly. And it's easy to see a world in which Westbrook can take over a game and instead of bricking a couple of shots, make a couple of shots. Because he's got the BMT taken. Maybe they fall, maybe they don't, but he'll take it. Yeah. But I'd be willing to put some money on Phoenix. I wouldn't lose that much sleep on it. Right? I mean, they gave them a snook up.
You wouldn't put your house in it.
I wouldn't put my house.
Put some money on it. You put some money on
it. Yes.
So I've got this funny thing that I do. So we do a NBA bracket every year. We've been doing it now for the past 5 years. And it's easy to talk, and you talk about this team is cut, this team is quiet, blah, 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 blah. But when the chips come down and when you have to say, who do you think is going to win this series? It is very, very, very hard to bet against LeBron. Every single year, I'll be like
the old Spurs.
They got a cut team. They got a cut team. But now I must pick who's going to come out, who's going to win this first round. And invariably, I'll go, the Lakers are going to win this first round because I just can't bring myself to bet against that, bruh. Because as cack as that team looks, he can go on. You just need to win 16 games and he can go on.
True. And actually, if you say it like that, right? Because that's all the player sees. It's like, KG, who can play the best 16 games? That's all it is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's too hard. It's too hard to even say that the Suns or the Warriors could sweep them. It's too hard. It's too hard. LeBron is too. Yeah.
Nobody cares
sound
about
like a broken
sweeping.
record.
Nobody cares about sweeping or gentlemen's, right? It's not too hard. It's like as much as it's hard to put your money against LeBron, right? A 1-8 series where you have Phoenix and the Lakers, right? As great as LeBron is, would you put your money against Phoenix? Like that team is well oiled. We over halfway through the season, right? And I don't think they haven't lost their 10th game yet. I don't think.
No.
Still,
No.
yeah, 36-9. That's 80%. It's more than I did in school. That shit is.
But again,
And I wasn't
but
dumb.
again, Timothy Maltino, we come back to this one little Achilles heel that is keeping the Phoenix Suns together, and that is
You mean hamstring?
Chris Paul's
Hamstring. He's hamstring.
mental. His hamstring.
His hamstring is not his mental.
They can be as great as they are. If that bruh thinks, fuck, here we go again.
But Chris
That
Paul
team
has got a
is-
record
that
of
team
being
is-
quiet in the first round.
The team is done.
It's conference finals where he's in the cuck.
Yeah.
First round, he's still quiet. I'm telling you guys right
Outside-
now, we do a bracket at the end of this year. Phoenix and the Lakers are playing in the first round. I'm picking Phoenix.
Mm.
Okay.
I'm picking Lakers.
Cool. Actually,
If 8 is healthy, I'm picking Lakers.
Yeah. But that's like the unwritten rule. Like if 80 doesn't play, there's no competition. There's no competition
Yeah.
for that specific series.
Look at
Like
you know, I'm gonna go with gut feel again. No? Just gut feel. What's the first thing that you that you think? Every Lakers question that you asked just now, right? My immediate answer internally was, I don't give a fuck. I actually don't care. I really I've got zero fucks to give about that team.
until they finish seventh. or sorry, sixth.
No,
Or sixth.
no.
Then they must play the Grizz.
sixth, yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to come up to like. Sure, there would be a cuck matchup for Dallas.
You see?
Who would it be? Who would it be? Actually, I don't know if that'll be that bad a matchup for him.
Bruh, if the West has proved anything with these numbers we just spoken about, if the Lakers play anybody other than Phoenix or the Warriors, the Lakers are going through, pal. With AD and Russ and LeBron, I don't see any other team breaking the Lakers. I don't see it.
So remember, at the beginning of the season, you said, "Who's your pick?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I said the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And everything from that point proved that was a cuck thing to say.
Yeah.
I've constantly been reminded what a dumb thing to say that was. And when they're at their worst, I'm going to double down and go, actually, you know what? I still believe. Fuck that.
So this, I mean, that now makes for a okay. So Suns and Warriors, to me, you feel are outright going to clean the Lakers? Yes or no?
Yeah, I don't think the Lakers are getting through them.
Okay.
And
If
funny,
the Lakers play the Grizzlies,
I don't think the Lakers are getting through the Grizz.
Jazz.
I think the Lakers could do the Jazz. I was like, oh man, the Jazz is gonna be the next Milwaukee, right? And Kirk said no, mentally they too frail. And everything from that point, right? So any big moment they had to show their stuff, they're fucking throwing it down. They did it against the Lakers, right? Last night they did it against Golden State. If it's a good
Yeah.
team, they look for ways to lose at the end of the game. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Did you watch the end of the last game? Did you watch the end of the game against Golden State? First of all, super low scoring at the end, right?
Yeah.
Second of all, they down 2. They have the ball, all right? They have a chance to take an early shot, maybe even get a rebound, what have you, right? But then Bogdan holds it. And they play all the way to the end, right? And then they take the shot like right at the end of the buzzer. But like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you take your first shot that you get? Because if you miss, you still have an opportunity to score again.
Yeah.
Right? Now you want to hit that walk-off. Like that's a weird, it's just weird too.
Yeah.
It's not a winning.
Yeah. Imagine if you're tired and you're okay with going to overtime.
Yeah.
You don't bet the house in it.
Yeah, exactly. Or you don't sound like playing anymore. Like, we're gonna catch a flight. I really want to go to overtime. Roll the dice.
So Golden State against, who was it? Pacers. Golden State against Pacers. Pacers had all their mana out. They were playing their 5th team. And Golden State are up 3 with 10 seconds left. Pacers come up with the ball. I'm like, just foul them. Foul them. They can shoot free throws. Give the ball to Steph. It's game over.
Yeah.
They let him inbound, make a pass, dribble, pull up, bah, game tied.
In Caddy's face. That was Holiday. Yeah.
Holiday, yeah.
Yeah.
When that shot went in, I was like, the Suns are going to lose this game. And I think Golden State were one of the first teams. No, it wasn't Golden State. It was Spurs that. Who was it? That came with that foul, give away 2 points rather than get 2-star 3-pointer.
I remember Curse from the Spurs machine.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. I was like, and even the commentators said, you don't foul on that first pass. They didn't put the ball on the floor, then you foul him. Because if you foul on the first pass, he might just be in the motion of shooting. Then you give away a 4-point play or you give away a shooting 3. And that's exactly what happened. They survived the first shot attempt. They put the ball on the floor. The minute they put the ball on the floor, they should have fouled. They let him dribble it a bit. Came down to 5 seconds, made a 3. Then they couldn't even run a fucking play to get a shot on the other side.
But those
Golden State Warriors, they've got propensity to just.
But surely, Kirk, you must believe that in playoff type games, those mistakes aren't going to happen. Okay, enough said. Yeah. Ask J.R. Smith about running the wrong way. All right, fellas, before we wrap up, anything you guys want to add? We spoke about a lot of teams. This is the most we've spoken about a lot of different teams. Damn.
There are some just
Any last
this
words?
week, though.
Okay, hit us with some.
There are some just matchups. Tonight, Utah Phoenix. You can watch Utah implode again. Although Phoenix is not a traditionally big franchise, so Utah might beat them. Can take a wager?
I take Phoenix at home against the imploding Jazz.
Every day.
Especially because the Jazz that's the flight they needed to take to Phoenix. Apparently Phoenix is a bit of a party town. Bogdanovich was like
those moments are eating the strip.
The views expressed by this show.
They'd be like, yo, don't foul anybody, we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Remember you used to get that last game on a Sunday night
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut for out.
No
You
fouls.
you must still take people
No
home.
fouls.
Games were delayed.
The
Cool.
Knicks.
Ooh, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, it's the
Yes.
preseason heir apparent, the pretenders to the throne, the ones that we said we were going to go all the way. Los Angeles and Brooklyn.
Nothing excites me
Now
about
it's
that
like
game.
it's like a relegation battle now.
Again, my same thoughts pop up here. I don't fuck with you.
I'm sure tomorrow the game we will be tuning into is Dallas at Golden State.
Absolutely.
gonna be a
That's
good
also a
game.
5 o'clock game. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's quite.
Yo.
That's a cool game to jump into.
Yeah, Money at Portland is also interesting.
I think
What else
that's a
is
super interesting game. Just for the
there?
purist.
Yeah. Tuesday, yeah, that's Tuesday. Tuesday, there's some good games. Wednesday, Milwaukee, Cleveland.
Bucks,
That should be
Cavs.
interesting. I see Watchful is back. Giroux is back for Milwaukee now.
Yeah. He played in the last game.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I want to see how they start getting their pieces back together. And there's a game for you on Wednesday night, Charlotte, Indiana.
Wesley's most exciting versus his nemesis.
Yeah. My most loved and my most hated. Bloody Pacers.
The rest of Capua,
No, look.
Miami.
No, you get Suns Jazz again. You get the revenge game.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh, my
I'm
bad.
working my way
Sorry.
down. Yeah.
Not a full stop yet. My bad. I'll take that shit back.
No. Yeah. Denver, Brooklyn, Toronto, Chicago. Not right now. Memphis, San Antonio. Your San Antonio Cup. But San Antonio have the ability to knock a Memphis, I think.
Especially at home.
Yeah. Phoenix, Utah, that's the game of the night. Then there's a other throwaway, Dallas, Portland.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. No, I'm fine.
Although,
Look at second. That's a back-to-back. So they first.
that's a potential banana peel. That
It is because they go to Golden State and then they go to Portland.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not an easy thing to navigate.
That is a potential banana peel.
Is Green back yet though? If Green's not back, then that's a pretty cool time to go and play Golden State at Golden State.
Golden State. No, he's not back yet. I don't think he's
like
back
that.
for a while,
That's a nice opportunity. And the reality is that
Yeah.
Portland could be a banana peel at the same time. Like they also
Yeah.
could be want.
Yeah.
Because Nurkic is gonna have to play. Nurkic is gonna have to match up with KP. It means actually he's gonna move away from the hoop.
Away,
Moves away
yeah.
from the hoop, then he's just really not that as effective. If he's not that
Yeah.
effective, they got a variety of guys who they can chuck it at Anthony Simons. Like it could be a banana peel, but that should be a win they look at and going, I'm a matchup. They go, look, we could really beat that Portland team. So they could go on another 2-game little streak here. There's no reason why they couldn't.
Yeah.
Back to back. Thursday is a good game, Los Angeles, Philly. That should be interesting. Minnesota, Golden State, also a decent game. Friday, this is the match made in heaven for Wes. Los Angeles, Charlotte.
Money. It's at least 4 posters waiting there.
Boston, Atlanta should be an interesting game because Atlanta are on a bit of a uptick.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to.
But have you noticed, every year before All-Star weekend, then Trae Young does this. Every year before All-Star, he starts lighting it up.
Yeah, getting his vote in.
But he's such a showman though. So even my theory doesn't surprise me. if it was true. Just like, he's like, Kiki, now that the votes
I'm
are
warming
here,
up
we
for the
just...
All-Star game. I'm warming up for the All-Star game. Is it different folks, different strokes?
Yeah.
Clips Miami, it's going to be a whitewash. Portland, Houston, Utah, Memphis. That's a good one.
Utah, Memphis.
Utah, Memphis is nice. Minnesota, Phoenix. That should be interesting, but Phoenix will club Minnesota.
Yes.
I think Minnesota will be fun for 2.5 quarters, and then the game will be done. Yeah. New York, Milwaukee. I think only Charlie will watch that game. Saturday, Brooklyn, Golden State is good. That's it. Indiana, Dallas. Ooh.
Dallas could win 3 in a row here. Could be another big week.
It is the Pacers, though. It is the Pacers.
He's the Pacers.
So long as you
It's a bonus.
So long as you don't support the Mavs, we should be fine.
Nah, I'm not supporting the Mavs.
You'll be good. Hey, look at that. Warriors Nets in Golden State might actually be a decent game.
Yeah, it would have been fun if KD was healthy, though.
Same thing with Green.
Yeah.
But if you take both of them out, you get
true.
You get a decent amount of parity there. That is going to be a booming game. There's full cool defense taking place.
Yeah. I was just thinking of the spice of KD coming back to Golden State.
That's true. Actually, that's what makes the game. Is it tomorrow night? Even a little bit more spicy, right? The Timberwolves. The Timberwolves Golden State game. A little bit of Wiggins. You chucked me on the heat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of
That's
D'Lo.
true.
We're not going to trade you, D'Lo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, there's a lot of little stories there in that matchup, huh? Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see Suggs dunk on DeRozan?
No.
Mosag.
Is it?
Yeah. On him.
Is this in the Bulls
Last night.
Kings game?
No, last night. Magic.
Oh man, sorry, Magic. I saw the Rosen almost fought or something.
Maybe after Suggs dunked on him.
Because I wanted to watch the game, but I never got to it. I just saw a little clip.
Actually, let me go. Let me just go. Suggs, DeRozan. And see what pops up.
A nice salty caramel latte.
As I go Suggs DeRozan, the first thing that pops up is DeMar DeRozan was destroyed by Jalen Suggs' explosive dunk.
I must watch it.
While you're doing that, let's look at Sunday. Los Angeles, Atlanta. That's not bad at 8 o'clock. That should be.
That's a quiet game.
That's a fun game.
Expect your team to manage one.
Dallas, Orlando, Smith Club, Denver, Milwaukee. Utah, Minnesota might be interesting, but not at 3 a.m. Yeah, that wraps up the week. But
there's liquor games.
They are liquor games
Lots.
this week. Yeah.
Yo.
It's like 4 out of the 7 nights there's something proper to watch.
Nah, quite. When is All-Star Weekend? Are we going to meet for All-Star Weekend?
It's normally around Valentine's Day.
Quite. Let's see it, Timmy.
You guys can see it?
Yeah.
Make it big. Just in case you can't see properly. Sis. Look at everybody react.
Damn.
Oh, wait, I'm sure this is better with sound.
Oh, and he splits the
I
defense
see
too.
nothing. I just see pixel. But I'm definitely gonna go watch it.
Nah, that's Mal. That's Mal.
Acceleration. Powering one through. Off me. DeMar DeRozan.
That's junk. He got elbowed in the face and he got done. Another hand.
Well, Conley.
I don't know what the fuck's playing now.
I know, I won't lie. But I don't know. I don't ever want to experience that. Having a bra dunk on me like that. Not a damn. Not a damn. That's a cock one. Shit. Like that. Get moved in the face still. Damn. This coach. Please.
I don't jump high enough to take that shit personally. I remember once before Kofi was, I think when he was still playing for Steenberg, right? We were playing at Cape Tech, and I don't know what happened. I think it was like, it must have been some sort of weird transition, right? But somebody went up, and I think it was on the fast break, and they missed, and so I was jumping up to get the rebound, right? Or I don't know what the fuck I was doing there, but I was under the hoop. The guy had missed, and I felt something on the back of my head, right? And Kofi came, and he took the ball. Right?
No.
He missed so hard, it hit the back of the rim, that the ball flew all the way back to the half court.
Yo.
But if he got it right, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the dunk. Maybe the nuts in my ear would have. Maybe that would have bothered me.
Yeah. But in your defense, you were catching a rebound. Can you imagine trying to block a bra?
Oh yeah,
And he comes through.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
an innocent bystander.
Yeah.
Like his face on seeing his bra come running at you.
Yeah.
Man.
I keep watching these clips of Giannis like coming down. He really is unstoppable. Sometimes when he catches the ball in the low post, also he does a little move, just 2 steps, and his steps are so big you can't even slide defense and cover him.
And
It's
his arm's so long when he comes back and extends back.
Yeah. He'll take 2 steps. The first step is past you. The second step is around you. Then you think, nah, he's too far. He's gonna finger roll it. Bah! How did he do that? From there. I was watching a interview where I think it was 2016 or 2017, where Giannis won his first MVP, and James Harden that season had scored 5 games with over 50 and 2 games with over 60, and he wasn't given MVP. Giannis was given MVP, and in like multiple interviews, James Harden tried to like bring him down by saying he's not really that talented. He's just big, whatever. And everybody was like, "Nah, brah, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, you were great and he was great, but don't do that. Now you're talking shit."
But remember when Giannis clapped back, because it was after that Giannis was choosing the All-Star game, right? And he was like,
Yes.
"Why didn't you choose Harden?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't want to play with a player that doesn't pass the ball."
Yeah.
I remember that. That's healthy beef, man. That's healthy, especially in the NBA. Like, you can't do what you can be friends with everybody. You can't be friends with everybody.
Really.
You must have a group of individuals where you just like, nah, I'm gonna move them.
Yeah.
Especially like the top tier. There's a top tier of 20 players. You can't like all of them. You can't. There must be some sort of, you can respect them, but Giannis can't be LeBron James's friend. He must acknowledge, I'm gonna have to go through this, bruh. I have to. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with that.
Durant had a couple of interesting quotes of that over the last couple of weeks, which I thought was kind of nice. He was basically saying, when we're on the court, I'm not going to be nice to you. We're not friends here.
Yeah.
Not cool. He goes off the court,
Yeah.
after the game, like, I've got nothing but respect for you. We play the same game. For us to be great, actually, we both need to be great, right, etc., etc., right? But we're on the court. It's okay not to pick you off the ground. It's okay to talk smack to you. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody understands it in that context. That's
Yeah.
what I hate you,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not going to share that with you. Afterwards, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyhow.
True. All right, boys. This was a lekker one. Tell me, you can send me this video next week Sunday. It's cool. I'll be.
When we meet
I'll
for
be
the,
editing
when we meet
last
for the
week's
All-Star
version.
game, you can get it.
By the time Timmy's done, I'm going to be watching these clips like an omnibus.
Bro, it's like, I thought you were doing something like Formula One, the Drive to Survive, right? They filmed
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
season and they just showed it in.
All right, fellas. We'll chat soon. Next week, Monday, we good, Timmy? Next week, Monday?
You good?
Okay. Quiet. Peace out, boys.
Cool.
We'll watch a
man.
lot of
Man.
basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Boy. See you,
Bye.
boy.
Cheers, man.